It is midnight. We are in our tent. We got woken up by Dawa. Yesterday we were told that we might not be able to summit due to the weather, so we're gonna make a push for it this morning, I guess you could call it, this evening. We should be reaching summit somewhere around 7 a.m. if we leave now. So we're gonna shoot for it, see if we can make it work. It's freezing cold. Winds are expected to make it even colder. So see what we can do.
So here we are. After a year of waiting, 17 hours worth of flying, and 2 weeks worth of trekking, we come to the final leg. Summiting Le Boucher. But before we get into the summit, let me show you how we got here at 17,700 feet, getting ready to climb all the way up to 20,075 feet to summit Le Boucher.
Hello world.
This all started with a phone call from a friend who had an idea. Let's trek to Everest Base Camp. A year later, we were on a 17-hour flight with a 10-hour layover in Qatar on our way to Kathmandu. Once we landed in Nepal, the first step was to meet up with our guides from RMI Expeditions.
Wow, I'm surprised we made it first.
Yeah. Welcome to Nepal.
What's your name? Mingma?
M-I-N-G-M-A.
M-I-N-G-M-A, Mingma.
Yeah.
Diego, nice to meet you.
Michael.
Nice to meet you.
Then the next step was to meet the rest of our 10-man crew.
Mingma, how far is the drive?
Looking at the traffic, 20 minutes, I guess.
20 minutes.
Here in our hotel room, honestly not bad. Very nice hotel. Wow.
We absolutely crashed out. We got here, we went to a sauna steam room sesh, got back upstairs, showered. We were supposed to do a, I guess, small dinner with the crew around 7:30, but we knocked out and definitely missed it. So here we are, hours later, and then we have to go back to sleep to meet back up with the crew tomorrow for our first official team meeting. All right, it is 6 a.m. here in Kathmandu. We just woke up. We kind of didn't sleep much at all last night. After a 12-hour nap, we woke up like at 1 in the morning, so we've been up since then. But we're here at the resort, I guess, the hotel. We're about to go take a lap around the garden.
Lap around the garden. Breakfast 6:30. Sauna, steam room,
Gear check.
hot tub, gear check.
Let's check out the garden here. Not bad, kind of living in luxury before we head up to the mountain. I stay in civilization, bro. We're off to villages tomorrow. We just had breakfast. Breakfast is pretty good. Michael, his fat ass ate like 4 muffins. Look at him. Look at him. Face of regret. Face of regret. Honestly, just amazing to see all this stuff. So grateful to be able to see all these different things, these different cultures, explore new places. Pretty sick. After 48 hours in the capital, getting to explore the city a little, it was time to head up to the valley, where we would start our trek to Everest Base Camp. It's Wednesday, March 19th. We are on a
expedition, and Michael decided to leave the house with absolutely 0 pockets on his body. Shorts, no pockets. Jacket, no pockets. Ridiculous, like grown men, no pockets. So we're heading in. We're gonna wait for our helicopter ride.
Step 1 is taking a helicopter from Kathmandu to the base of the Khumbu Valley. Lukla Airport, the most infamous and dangerous airport in the world.
In Lukla, baby.
From Lukla, we would stop at a total of 7 locations over the next 9 days. On day 1, we would hike from Lukla to Phakding, a short hike to a small village at the base of the river.
Bridge number 3. This is home. Love it. For one day.
Sunrise Lodge! Woo!
Super excited.
Woo!
Great attitude, Jess. Great attitude. This is the energy we want at the end of the trip. Yeah, of course.
Is this recording?
I think so, isn't it? Yeah.
Hi.
We'll see what it look like on day 21. From Phakding, so we're walking into our rooms for the night. See how these things look.
After our first tea house night, where we got adjusted to what life in the valley would be like for the next few weeks, and found a spider in our sleeping bags, we woke up ready for day 2.
Good morning. It is day 1 here in Phakding. We're going to have breakfast and start our day in the next hour. We have about 6-7 hour hike. And then we'll arrive at our next destination, our next town, and spend the night there for 2 nights. So let's go eat some breakfast.
Day 2 consisted of a long and steep climb to Namche Bazaar, a town known as the gateway to the Himalayas.
The walk from Phakding to Namche proven to be quite possibly the coolest hike I've ever done. Following up the helicopter ride with this hike today is incredible. So lucky to be able to do this. One of the coolest experiences I think anyone can have. Loving Nepal so far. We're now entering Namche. Crazy.
This place was amazing. A town with hotels, restaurants, shops, carved into the side of the mountain. Namche was personally my favorite stop in the entire trip, and evidence of what humans are capable of, living at 11,300 feet above sea level. We arrived around noon and spent the rest of the day exploring this beautiful town.
Home base, baby.
Let's go.
Dennis, people said you couldn't do it. They doubted you, but you.
I'll go with someone else.
Our fucking room. We thought we were roughing it. We really thought we were signing up for a rough expedition, but this is our view of Namche.
Alright, first morning waking up in Namche. The next day, day 3 in the valley, was for acclimating to the elevation. We walked around, made our way to some viewpoints where we got to see some of the world's most famous summits. Mount Everest, Mount Blanc, Lhotse. They were all there, in front of us. It was here where it really set in how much further we still had to go, how much higher we had to climb, and how much tougher the journey would be. Namche, last day here, heading out to hike towards Debouché, about a 6-7 hour hike. Day 4 in the valley began with an early morning rise as we made our way to Tangboche, one of the world's most famous Buddhist monasteries.
Currently at Tangboche, one of the oldest and most famous monasteries, Buddhist monasteries in the world. This place is unreal.
There were so many surreal moments in this trip, but this was definitely one of them.
This place is unreal.
Like I said, surreal. After a tour of the monastery, we made our way to Debouché, where we would spend the night before we continued our trek to Faraché.
All right, we're at Rivendell.
First look at our accommodations, not bad.
Wow.
Michael wants window, he's got window. I'll get the inside. This is the dining room here. Very warm here. Very warm.
Cookies.
Cookies, Oreos. Bro, out here eating meat, calling them momos.
Meat momo, some fried rice, potato momos, chicken momos, yak momos, all the momos.
All the momos. Love you, Mom.
Alright, it is Sunday morning. We are leaving Debouché and heading to Faraché. It snowed quite a bit last night.
On day 5 in the valley, we woke up in Debouché to snow on the ground.
Hello.
Hello.
About to see the alleged head of a Yeti. Not this guy, but
It was this day where you really started to see the landscape change in the valley. Fewer trees, more suspension bridges, less people. And it was also that day when we started to really feel the effects of the altitude. We focused on a slow pace, a good rhythm, and prioritizing breaks. And finally, after about 6 hours of hiking, we arrived at Faraché, where we would spend 2 nights at 14,300 feet. On day 6 in the valley, we woke up in Faraché after our first night there. This day, we took it easy for the most part, as we prepared for our big acclimatization hike.
8 hours later.
Easy day, baby. A little acclimatization hike. Went from 14,000 to 16,500. But the end goal is 20,000. So we gotta get these lungs ready, baby.
It was tough, as climbing anything at this altitude would be, but it was also fun, as we took in some of the best views of the whole trip.
Good active rest day today. What is this mountain called, Dao?
No, Nagarjun.
Nagarjun Mountain. We're at 16,000 feet.
Right.
Views. Wow.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
For reference, That little village right there is where we started. Climbed about 2,000 feet within a mile, so pretty steep.
And for a little extra fun, Kala, one of our guides, and I decided to sprint down the hill, seeing who could get down the fastest.
It is Monday, 12:13, and me and Kyla just ran 2,000 feet down the side of a mountain.
Very good.
All the way up there. Michael also ran 2,000 feet down the side of a mountain. Antonio. Poor what? And Antonio just met us. Once in a lifetime opportunity to run down the side of a mountain with a Sherpa, I believe. Pretty cool.
The rest of the day we relaxed, recovered, and got what would be rare for this trip, a shower, and got ready for the next day.
Tuesday.
Your grandson's a good
We're
climber.
doing our hike out from
He's hiking well.
Ferrochet. Should be about a 5-hour hike today.
Wow.
Taking a little break right now, but should be a nice light day compared to yesterday.
So day 7 in the valley came, and we prepared to make our way to Le Boucher. Back in Kathmandu, our guide just warned us that the higher we get on this climb, the worse the tea houses would get. And that turned out to be 100% true. After one of the toughest hiking days of the whole trip, and the stop at Tukla Pass, where climbers who lost their lives attempting to climb these amazing mountains are remembered, we arrived at Le Boucher.
A 5-star
This is where we've
residence.
been sleeping at. For the most part, they all look pretty much the same. Diego, which bed do you want?
I'll take this up.
All right, so we'll share this one. Back to this one.
Bags on this one. Not bad. Look at the views, baby. Look at the views.
Yeah. Usually we have a crazy peak right outside the window.
But we're roughing it.
Dude, this is dope.
Love a cup chair in the corner.
This might be my favorite one.
Thomas, wish you were sitting there. Definitely not my favorite one. Nom's just my favorite one.
Yo, hold on. I think we can.
Well, holding it. Sleep. Maybe if you don't snore.
Oh, dude, I can't lay on my bed. All dusty.
All right. Well,
Probably the most comfortable beds.
this is our accommodations for the night. Not bad, honestly. We expected worse. We were told worse.
Day 8 in the valley was a hiking day from Le Boucher to Gorakshep. The hike was much the same. Suspension bridges, rocky terrain, more yaks, and eventually we arrived at Gorakshep. This by far was the toughest tea house to stay in. At 17,000 feet, the weather was freezing cold when the sun wasn't out. And as is customary in the Himalayas, most of the heating comes from furnaces, fueled by yak dung. The smell was pretty bad, but hey, what can you expect when you're living at 17,000 feet? That afternoon, we did a slow but steep climb to Kalapatar, a sightseeing point near the tea house. At the top, you feel like you're surrounded by these amazing summits. Everest, Ama de Blanc, they're right there in front of you, almost like you can just reach out and touch them. Another surreal moment in the long list of surreal moments on this trip. So, day 9 came, the day we had been waiting for. It was this day that we would arrive at Everest Base Camp, achieving the first goal in our trek.
Officially on the cusp of Everest Base Camp, EBC. Tents just over there. Dennis happy to be done walking.
I didn't really know what to expect at Everest Base Camp since I didn't really do too much research before the trip began. But I have to say it's not exactly what I had in mind. Tents scattered here and there, a bunch of different groups separated. It seemed a little more like a settlement on Mars than the gateway to the world's most famous mountain climb. Nevertheless, we took in the experience, took some photos at the sign, and made our way to our camp, which would be home for 2 days, as we prepped for the climb to Le Boucher summit.
Hello. We are officially at Everest Base Camp. We are now in our tent. Solid operation, 2-person tent. Requested a 1-person. They fucked me on this one. They fucked me. It's fine. It's fine. You want to be closer? Not bad. And check out We'll be here for 2 days. Tomorrow will be our training day. We'll do some ice climbing.
I woke up on day 10 at Everest Base Camp after one of the worst sleeps of my life, waking up in the middle of the night gasping for air. At 18,000 feet of elevation, your body is fighting for every bit of oxygen it can get. We gathered ourselves and made our way to breakfast. On the agenda for the day was our alpine training day, where we would practice climbing on ice with our crampons, our ice axes, our ropes, and our harnesses.
How do you feel?
Tired. I need to tighten my boots. No?
Little bit easy.
Okay.
Because you should training little bit hard part.
Uh-huh.
Easy for you tomorrow.
It's good. It's good. Need to practice.
Once that was over, we regrouped back at base camp.
Second day, last day at base camp. Tomorrow we head out for like an 8-hour hike back the way we came to Lobuche High Camp.
You know why? Could better get some of that biatch.
That's right.
Organized our equipment, got ready for dinner, and even took a shower at 18,000 feet at Everest Base Camp. The next day, those of us that would be summiting Lobuche would make our way to Lobuche High Camp, where we would spend the night, hope for good weather, and begin our summit. Day 11 came, and as we gathered our gear to make our way to Lobuche High Camp, I took a look around to really take in where we were, the journey we had made, the memories we made, and the amazing people we met along the way. The climb to Lobuche High Camp was tough. We had to descend into a valley and back up a steep climb to Lobuche High Camp. As we made it over the ridge and descended into Lobuche High Camp, our guides gathered us around and let us know what was going on. In alpine climbing, nature is in control, and it was nature that was making our summit doubtful. Strong winds were forecasted for the next night and day, and it was up to our guides to make a decision whether it was safe to climb or not. Too much wind, and we wouldn't be able to summit. All we could do was wait and see. So we agreed that if we were to summit, we'd have to start late or early, around midnight, and make our way up then. It was midnight when we got the wake-up call.
It is midnight. We are in our tent. We got woken up by Dawa. Yesterday we were told that we might not be able to summit due to the weather, so we're gonna make a push for it this morning, I guess you could call it, this evening. We should be reaching summit somewhere around 7 a.m. if we leave now. So we're gonna shoot for it, see if we can make it work.
Time to gear up and get ready to ascend. We had caught a break in the winds when we needed it, and it was time to shoot for the summit. As we ascended, the climb got tougher and tougher. The higher we got, the more labored our breath, and every step and pull felt like it took more and more energy.
Step and breathe.
Eventually, we hit crampon point, the start of the icy terrain. As we switched gear, we took a look around. The sun was setting on top of the Himalayas, and we were about to make our final push to Lobuche summit. As we pushed on the final stretch, climbing through ice and pulling our ropes, there was an accident. One of the ropes had snapped on one of our team members and guides. As they fell and slid on the rock, they sustained injuries, but thankfully we were able to get a helicopter evac and get them to a hospital safely. The rest of us continued on the summit, being careful, taking it one step at a time, but eventually we reached the top.
You're here. You're there. Welcome. Woohoo.
Out of breath and exhausted, we gathered as a group and celebrated the accomplishment we had just made.
Is that Everest?
Yes, with the cloud. Yes. And then
As we regrouped, Michael took the opportunity to make an announcement to me and to the rest of the group. He was going to be a dad. So obviously more celebrations ensued, and we got ready to make our way back down. To me, the descent feels like a blur. 3 days of hiking downhill. All I really remember was stopping at Namche on day 2, where we got souvenirs for our family and friends and explored that amazing town some more. Over the next few days, as we continued our descent down to Lukla, where we would catch a helicopter back to Kathmandu, we took the time to get to know our guides, speak to them a little bit more about what life was like in the Himalayas. Once we were back in Lukla, we had a sending off celebration, gifted them some gear we had bought them, and had a dance party. Our guides were some of the most amazing people we had ever met, incredibly happy and kind all the time. It was an honor to have met them, and I hope to see them again one day. The morning came and it was time to leave Lukla. As we flew out and said goodbye to the valley, the mountains, and the amazing people we had met, it was hard to be anything but grateful for the amazing experience we had just had and the ability to have it. Back in Kathmandu, we spent some time together as a team, reflecting on the experience we all had. A bunch of strangers who came together for one experience. As we explored Kathmandu, the contrast between life in the valley and life in the city was extreme. In the city, everything is faster, more noise, more people, while in the valley, everything seems at peace. I tried to take some of that peace back with me, to the city and back home, to the States. And I hope to hang on to it, just like I'll hang on to the memories that we made on our trek to Everest Base Camp and our summit of Le Boucher. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and comment with any questions you have about the trek, or maybe with some stories of your own.